No? Okay.
स्टार्ट करो, कोई दिक्कत
I
नहीं
think
है।
we are live. So, hi everyone, this is Randeep Kapoor. तो अभी रात के 2 बज रहे हैं इंडिया के अंदर एंड वी स्टार्टेड दिस लाइव स्ट्रीम क्योंकि इथेरियम और बिटकॉइन के अंदर अभी पिछले कुछ 3-4 घंटों में ही अराउंड 5% का अप मूव आ गया।
Yes, as you can see, ये 4 घंटे की candles हैं. These are 2 4-hour candles on Bitcoin in the last 8 hours, and it's gone up from 51,000 to 55,000 pretty much. The high of the day is what? 55, 54,972 on the future, on the perpetual swap, which is the daily 8-hour future. So strong move, about $4,000 in a matter of 8 hours, and we've all seen Bitcoin moving in such fashion time and again. Like यहाँ पे भी आपको दिखेगा कि these kind of moves have happened. But ये जो 2 strong consecutive candles आई हैं, काफी high volume पे आई हैं, और mind you, we are already sitting at a price which is 50,000. तो पिछले साइकिल के पीक से हम बहुत ज्यादा दूर नहीं है, और वहां पे हम इतना एक स्ट्रॉन्ग रफली 5% to 10% का मूव करते हैं. So these are really bullish signs for the market. And you've had similar moves in Ethereum as well, right? And Ethereum is the big show here. So look at this. Look, this is the 4-hour chart on Ethereum since February. It's been one-way traffic. This is the daily chart on Ether. Since September, we were at $1,600. You're right now trading at about $3,200. So in about 4 months, you're talking about 100% gain, and those are really strong, numbers. And this pretty much is just the starting of a crypto bull cycle. So, it's quite possible कि यहाँ से काफी strong आए. Lot of people were saying, and typically halving होती है बिटकॉइन की, उसके अराउंड halving उसके कुछ महीनों बाद साइकिल चालू होती है. बिटकॉइन की halving अप्रैल में है, अप्रैल एंड में. What people have typically observed is that 30 to 90 days after the halving, somewhere rally starts, and you take out the previous high about 6 to 8 months after the start of the cycle. Now पिछली बार क्या हुआ था, थोड़ी सी कोविड था. halving, last halving was in 2020, May 2020. उससे एक क्वार्टर पहले कोविड आया था. तो कोविड में जो सडन फॉल हुआ था मार्केट का, एंड देयर वाज अ नेगेटिव कैटलिस्ट. दिस टाइम अराउंड देयर हैज बीन अ पॉजिटिव कैटलिस्ट. तो दिस टाइम अराउंड देयर हैज बीन ईटीएफ, और जब से ये ईटीएफ अप्रूवल हुआ है, उसके एंटिसिपेशन में तो मार्केट्स रैली कर रही थे जनवरी में. So we saw a strong rally in September, October, November, and you see these moves in November. And this is where the ETF thing happened in around 10th of Jan. But what is surprising is कि 10th of Jan में ETF की न्यूज आई, उसके बाद मार्केट में एंटिसिपेटेड करेक्शन आया. 48,000 से we went to 39,000, but 23rd Jan we were at about 39,000. 22nd, 23rd Jan को we were sitting at around this number. 22nd को 40,000 के आसपास, और अभी हम 55 पे बैठे हैं, और एक महीना हुआ है 30 डेज के अंदर. तो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग
मतलब रफली 30-40% के.
हाँ, 40,000 से आपका 1/3 करीबन आ गया. the way it's going, I won't be surprised to see 50% gain from there on, and it's been what, 30 days. तो यहाँ पे ये सब टूल्स अवेलेबल है ना, हम लोग इसी में कर सकते हैं. तो खैर, markets are looking pretty sharp, and these are really strong signs for Bitcoin and other crypto. काफी कुछ driven है flows से. I think we were discussing there's been about 25 billion dollars of flows that have come into the system since the ETF news. तो ETF के आने के बाद $25 billion of fresh capital infusion has happened in the market.
So the data around it is, So the data around is कि मतलब 11 ETFs were approved. The major ETFs from that or on all of these were so Invesco का था, BlackRock का था, Fidelity का था and Grayscale का था. And in ETFs के अंदर so we have seen around $25 billion worth of inflows. And $25 billion worth of inflows आए हैं, so that roughly gives us 5 lakh bitcoins. And अभी हमने देखा कि जैसे बिटकॉइन की प्राइस बढ़ गई है 5%, तो ये $25 billion का नंबर भी 5% से बढ़ गया है. And like how the system works is, so basically all of these companies who are managing this ETF, so they're getting a management fees of roughly 0.2% on that. So on the current numbers, this equals to around $50 million. And if let's say Bitcoin goes up 50% from here, this $25 billion ka number, which is the current AUM, that will have a 50% increase, and so will their management fees. And also, if they are able to bring in more inflows will mean that the price will rise more, because if let's say the demand stays constant, supply will go down. So if they are able to suck up the supply from the market, they'll be able to create a cycle jahan pe they'll be bringing in more Bitcoin. Demand supply gap say the price will also rise, more people will want to invest, and so on. So they are basically doing it for the fees, but what they'll end up doing it for everyone is that they'll be creating a lot of educational content, they'll be onboarding a lot of retail audience. This is similar to what we see in the Indian mutual fund. So the mutual fund Sahi Hai campaign, which was done by Sachin Tendulkar and other prominent Indian celebrities to bring the retail audience of India into mutual funds, and we have seen the results of that also. And same way we can see the results of people coming into Bitcoin here, and that will be very good for this space.
हाँ, इससे democratization तो होगा, penetration बढ़ेगा. There'll be more participation in this space because there is a brand of trust as well, right? When you have a name like BlackRock, the biggest money manager in the world, जब इतना trusted नाम आता है, एक regulated space में आपको एक product मिलता है जिसपे आप Bitcoin को access कर सकते हो, तो it's a stamp of approval in a way, and it gives opens the doors for a lot of fresh inflows. और inflows तो आ ही रहे हैं, हमने अभी नंबर देखा ही. बट अब जो न्यूज है बड़ी, वो है इथेरियम के ETF के अप्रूवल के अराउंड, एंड मार्केट इज एंटिसिपेटिंग कि इथेरियम का ETF अप्रूवल समटाइम इन अप्रैल होना चाहिए, एंड दिस रैली इज इन दैट एंटिसिपेशन. सो व्हाट वी सॉ अराउंड बिटकॉइन, अब वही ईथर के अराउंड भी हो रहा है. एंड व्हाट इफ यू लुक एट द वीकली चार्ट ऑन ईथर, it's broken the 3000 handle after a long time. After June 2022, यहाँ पे जो crash हुआ था ईथर, जब rally end हुई थी, this is around when the first news of issues in crypto with over collateralized, under collateralized lending around some hedge funds started to come in. उसके बाद it was a steep fall from 3000 to 1500 or 1000. The thing with Ether is, look at the volatility at the downside as well, right? Within a matter of 4 or 5 weeks, it collapsed and reduced to about 66% in value. But then when it goes up like this. So Ether has traditionally been more volatile, has played catch-up game to Bitcoin, and has played very sharp catch-up games. Like once it rallies very strongly, and it rallies pretty much every week. So yeah, I won't be surprised to see this is a pretty strong level for this, pretty strong zone for Ether, like breaking out of 3500. That will open a lot of further upside. So there's a catalyst. Let's see how this plays out around the market. अभी
Yes,
तो
and
wall strong लग रही है.
And also मतलब Bitcoin के अंदर the all time high was around 69,000. We are currently sitting at 54,000. So that means we roughly have a space of around we can say 20% more to go till the all time high. But Ethereum के अंदर तो वो space भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. So I think the rally for Ethereum can be much better than the rally for Bitcoin.
हाँ, ईथर तो अभी कैचअप मोड में है. ईथर का अप्रिसिएशन, आई थिंक इट वुड हैव अंडर परफॉर्म बिटकॉइन सिंस सितंबर दिस ईयर. तो अभी
Yes.
स्ट्रॉन्ग मूव्स हो सकते हैं, और प्राइमरली बिकॉज बिटकॉइन में कैटलिस्ट भी था, बिटकॉइन में कैटलिस्ट था जो अब ईथर में है, तो मूव्स तो होने चाहिए। मूव्स ऑल्ट्स में भी काफी अच्छे हो रहे हैं, काफी सारे ऑल्ट्स में, लाइक इफ आई गो टू मार्केट शेयर एंड इफ आई सी,
Solana has outperformed a lot.
yeah, look at this. So there's bunch of these names which are up about 10-12% on a day, and today is one of those days as well जहाँ पे
Hmm.
there's a lot of action in the market. And clearly a bellwether like Bitcoin, Ether show strong moves like 5%. You'll have smaller coins rallying as well. So that happens. That's a regular feature in the market. But one of like a lot of these coins are showing very strong moves, and that's typically the case when you come out of a rally, right? When you're in that regime change mode of the market, you see very strong breakouts. And that is what you're seeing. And you're seeing repricing of volatility as well. तो वॉल में भी आप हो रहा होगा, ये सब रिप्राइस हो रहा होगा मार्केट. तो इफ यू सी द ऑप्शंस curve around at the money, Bitcoin wall is still 50%
Yes.
healthy. And I think if you see at the money, it's 51-52% for tomorrow. For 1st of March is the weekly expiry. वहाँ पे about
Yes.
57%. तो 57% के आसपास वॉल चल रही है बिटकॉइन पे. ईथर पे वॉल इज अराउंड 63%. स्ट्रॉन्ग है. जैसे ये मूव थोड़ा सा fizzle out होएगा, every such moves fizzles out after 1 or 2 days. और तो आई थिंक वॉल सेलर्स थोड़े अग्रेसिव होंगे. अभी तो मार्केट इज इन a mode where it's trying to find basically अभी तो it's in a mode where it's trying to find the ceiling कि कहाँ पे रुकना है.
Yeah.
और 55 could be a logical ceiling. देखते हैं कैसा होता है. But if it breaks through 55 tomorrow, then it will probably continue and challenge 57. ये देखना पड़ेगा कहाँ पे. 55 is psychological ceiling भी है, और थोड़ा वैसे भी चार्ट्स पे भी लग रहा है. पर अभी तो मार्केट स्ट्रांग लग रहा है.
55 का एक राउंड नंबर आ जाता है, तो राउंड नंबर पे a lot of call sellers try to create short call positions. So anybody who is like doing a strangle, short strangle, or anybody who's doing a covered call, they would like to sell a call option at the 55,000 strike. So probably 55,000 can be looked at as a resistance. But if it is broken out, all of these call sellers will need to find a place to exit. So what will happen in those type of situations if let's say there is a very big open interest built on the 55,000 strike, and let's say Bitcoin crosses that. So all of these call sellers will be in a loss. So they will want to exit their call sell positions. That will mean that they are buying back their calls, and like that will push the price much more further up. And probably we could see 60,000 also coming back soon, and that will be very close to the all-time high of Bitcoin. So probably 2024 can be the year कि Bitcoin will reclaim its all-time high, which it made in 2021. So after a 3-year period, we are going to be reclaiming the all-time high. So 2024 is going to be a year to watch out for.
But mind you, reclaiming the previous high would only be the technically that's said as the start of a rally, right? क्योंकि अभी तो आप पुराने ही
Yes.
लॉसेस में हो. पीक टू पीक अभी आप
Yes.
लॉस में ही हो एसेट क्लास बेस पे. तो वहां से आपकी जर्नी चालू होगी. और मतलब अगर आप मार्केट्स को ओवर लॉन्गर फ्रेम देखोगे तो हाँ, यू लुक एट पीक टू पीक. बट हाँ, दीज आर ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट मूव्स बिकॉज आप ट्रफ से तो काफी ऊपर आ चुके हो. जो आपका प्रीवियस ट्रफ था विच वाज अराउंड व्हाट 17-18,
हाँ,
those kind
17,
of
18
numbers. एक्चुअली 16 के आसपास होगा, पर हाँ वहां से काफी ऊपर आ चुके हो. तो एक्साइटिंग. देखते हैं कैसा होता है. बट हाँ, स्ट्रॉन्ग मूव्स इन द मार्केट. एंड अभी तो इट्स ऑन अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग मोमेंटम. एंड लुक्स लाइक when you have these 4-hour 8-hour candles that come, this momentum takes some time to fizzle out. Let's see कैसे play out करता है. But हाँ, flow driven rally लग रही है because there's a lot of news around ETF, there's a lot of catalyst, and all of this is building into a strong catalyst in April. तो स्ट्रॉन्ग तो रहना
Yes.
चाहिए मार्केट को. It will
April
definitely
and
take
May.
breathers or as.
Hmm.
Go on,
April
sorry.
and May will be very special months, and we have received two comments on two altcoins, that is Mana USDT and AP USDT. So, do you want to share your views? And these both look like popular retail-driven tokens, Mana USDT and AP USDT.
Mana to up है 5%. Let's just look at it. What's happening there?
So, Mana is
Okay.
probably playing along with the metaverse and NFT narratives which are going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, I haven't looked at this, but when I look at the weekly chart, I used to look at it. Haven't looked at it in a long time, but when you look at these weekly charts, there was very strong moves toward the end of the previous of 2021, right? And then very sharp collapse, and that's featured with a lot of altcoins. It's probably looking to find a zone in the breakout. It's probably looking to basically break out of that consolidation zone that it was in. You could see here, right? So, पर अभी
Yeah,
तो I
and for
think
all
uh,
Yeah, and for altcoins, like technical analysis doesn't matter much on a larger time frame. We need to look at the use cases. We need to look at what the narratives are going on, what they are building, and what the future for their industry could be like. And the second coin
moment.
is a pure meme coin, which is APUSDT.
So, like you said, look, there's no point doing technical analysis on these things. What you're doing really by looking at a chart is just looking at history, right? There's a
Yes.
narrative around these things, and you have to see how strong is the narrative, how strong is the use case. What you can see is, look, there's volume trying to tell you anything if there's any sort of consolidation that's happening that you can take any cues from. But with these coins, these are a lot news driven and momentum driven. Like something will happen and you'll see a very strong momentum. So, for example, with AP, you probably saw very strong momentum. Uh, but so, and probably, I also follow Bitcoin and Ethereum closely. So maybe, if you have anything to share on these coins, on both of these, that's good. Or others who are watching the stream can comment about what they feel about these names. But both of these names, that the chart looks strong today. You have a strong move, momentum looks strong, but they still have a long way to go from their previous highs. Like pretty much a lot of coins in the market. So you'll have to go and closely follow the story. What's happening there?
Yeah. From my perspective, like BTC, both are bullish and both are kind of in a race to like who makes the higher percentage gain in a day and like who breaks out first. And both of them have very big catalysts to look forward to. So Bitcoin has its halvening, which is going to happen in the first half of April. And ETF is also has their, sorry, Ethereum also have their ETF announcement. So that will also be a very major catalyst for Ethereum, just like it happened for Bitcoin. And like going on the size, so Ethereum is currently 1/4 or 1/5 of the market cap of Bitcoin. So we should see like we let's track that and see like how much Ethereum is able to achieve, how much fraction Ethereum is able to achieve of the market cap of Bitcoin. So it will be very interesting to see. Also, Bitcoin is closer to its all-time high than Ethereum. So that is also one metric we'll be tracking closely. I personally am more bullish on Ethereum. What are you more bullish on, sir? Mike, you muted yourself.
Yeah. I am also more bullish on Ethereum in the short term because, like I said, I think Ethereum will play a very strong catch up. And this is purely based off what it has done in the past. Usually, Ethereum has been quiet around the times when Bitcoin has moved, and then it has basically shown very strong moves in a catch up. And now, so there's usually Bitcoin plays out, then people rotate the capital from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and there's a catch up. And then there is further rotation of catch up of capital from Ethereum to altcoins. So it's typically like this. This time around, there's a fundamental catalyst for Ether as well. And the catalyst for Bitcoin is the first catalyst of Bitcoin is over. The second catalyst is having. So my sense is flows on Bitcoin are largely driven by fresh flows on ETF accumulation side, and Ether, is two-way flow. One because of the ETF anticipation and position building around that, the ETF approval, anticipation, and position building around that, and also some rotation of money from people who are looking to book profits on Bitcoin and start to chase Ethereum for more sharper gains. So that makes me more bullish in the short term on Ether. But look, I think both of these assets will perform in the short term. It's about outperformance. And later in the rally, it's very difficult to predict. But this thing kind of keeps happening every couple of months.
Yeah, sure. It'll be very interesting to look at how the next 2-3 months play out. And also,
Yeah.
another point which I can see, so if you check out the funding rate data of Ethereum and Bitcoin, what does that tell us? So that also kind of tells us about the market's anticipation of where these two assets will go. So can you please shed some light on that data?
Yeah, so this is the perpetual swap Ether USDT. You can just click on funding and see the funding rate data. Now let's look at how this funding has changed. Right, it's come to 1 basis point per 8 hours, but it spiked to about 4 basis point per 8 hours. 1 basis point per 8 hours roughly comes to about 10 to 11% per annum. Uh,
Yes,
you know, when you go to roughly 4 basis points, you're pretty much talking about 40% per annum as the cost of capital. Now that's how strong the momentum would have been in those 8 hours. Of course, this won't sustain. This will come back like you saw that it came back in one period itself. So it's not like you can realize 40% per annum. You can realize 40% per annum for only 8 hours. But you can see how this has started to become spiky, right? It used to be around 1 basis point, and that used to be the cost of capital in crypto markets. And what you have seen is that in the last 2 weeks around Ether, the momentum is so strong that this keeps spiking up. And this is something that we saw in Bitcoin in November, December particularly, that funding would typically
yes,
spike up to about 5 basis point per hour, 8 hours, and so on. So again, this is an indication of how bullish, typically funding, strong positive funding would denote strong, bull momentum. Strong negative funding would mean that people who are long are getting paid the interest rate. So strong selling is what a negative funding would indicate. And what you can look at here is there are these bouts of very strong moves in the market, right? Every time there's a strong move in the market, you see the funding spike up.
yes,
Like
yes,
last,
yes,
we were talking about 4 hours candles and so on. So you see the 4 hour candles, and you would see very strong candles in the last couple of windows. And so you see these two. This 4 hour window, it's been rather capping up, and you see at least at this point in time a sort of a doji formation here. But the previous two candles were really strong, and first this candle was pretty strong, and that's what you see in funding as well. That
yeah,
two intervals before, the funding spiked to about 4 basis points, like this, and then this, and then this, and then it cooled off. So again, overall, funding tells you the same story. It just tells you another sort of indication or a confirmatory signal on the momentum and the positioning around the market. Mind you, funding is also to do with the positioning that open interest, people carry
yes,
in the market. Higher the open interest, even without a price move, you will have higher funding because it just at a long build up. The capital is blocked. So essentially, people are sort of in a way saying that look, we are we are holding long positions and we are paying so much to hold the long position because essentially every long position
yes,
is a margin long position and so on.
yes. And
So
if you check
funding will
out
remain
the
elevated, is I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and if you
please.
check out the funding rate of Bitcoin, you'll see that the Bitcoin's funding rate is roughly 3 or 4 basis point right now. Yeah, so it is trading pretty
Yeah,
high right now.
pretty high. Yes.
Yes.
I'm surprised that Ether funding should have been higher as well, and maybe it will again. Uh, it's about which 8 hours candle was stronger, whether it was strong in Bitcoin or whether it was strong in Ether. So again, Bitcoin was about one, and then it started to pick up, and now it's close to four.
Yep. And this
And
gives
that
us
is
an
also
annualized roughly 35-40%.
yeah, but open interest in Bitcoin will be a lot more than open interest in Ether. So this is another reason for why funding will be a little bit skewed between the two asset classes, because Bitcoin is just a bigger asset class, right? So, or not asset class, rather bigger asset. So it can
Yeah.
hold much. You can build a much bigger position in Bitcoin as compared to an Ether or as compared to you know other alts. The market cap of Bitcoin is much bigger. So typically your open interest will be a lot higher, and which would mean that in a bullish market, the funding systematically will be slightly higher.
Yes,
Uh,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
there's
also
a
this,
lot of funding arbitrage trade that also happens. Like people look to just earn this funding, and that's also a very interesting trade. Like it's cash future arbitrage basically.
yes, that is exactly what I was going into. So we shared a strategy earlier. If you can check that video on the channel itself. So we shared a strategy how you can buy the spot Bitcoin and you can sell the perpetual future on top of that. So buying the spot Bitcoin. So let's suppose you bought one Bitcoin spot and you sold one perpetual short. Then the net position which you will be carrying will be a delta neutral position. So every $1 up move in the spot will lead to $1 profit in the spot and $1 loss in the perpetual. And what you will get out of this position is that you will be gaining the free funding rate, which, as we can see, currently is trading at zero point 0.5. That is that in 8 hours, that will equate to roughly 50% yearly. And the best part with Delta Exchange offers you here is that in Delta Exchange, you can go for cross margin and portfolio margin modes. So you can basically just convert all of your USDT into Bitcoin and you can short the inverse BTC perpetuals on Delta Exchange. So inverse BTC perpetuals are margin in Bitcoin. So after you convert your USDT spot into Bitcoin, you can use that margin itself to sell this future. So as you can see here, the settlement currency of this perpetual is Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
you will not require any extra margin to do this strategy. So you can simply do a cash future arbitrage strategy until the funding rate is lying elevated like this. You can make like an annualized 40% gain, and like that would equate to roughly 3-4% a month.
Yeah. So again, if you are long one Bitcoin and you're short one Bitcoin inverse contract, uh, then you are essentially long one Bitcoin worth of dollars. So about $50,000, right? Let's just say you've done this trade for $5,000, then you are long $5,000 worth of Bitcoin and you're short same amount worth of futures. So you don't have any price risk to movement of Bitcoin. You just earn the funding. तो बेसिकली जितना आपके पास एसेट आप डॉलर से स्टार्ट करेंगे और डॉलर में ही निकल के आएंगे, आपको प्राइस रिस्क ऑफ बिटकॉइन नहीं आएगा कुछ भी. तो बिटकॉइन में अगर आपकी लॉन्ग पोजीशन है तो वो सामने ऑफसेट हो जाएगी फ्यूचर्स की शॉर्ट पोजीशन से. और दैट इज वेयर इट बिकम सुपर इंटरेस्टिंग कि ये डॉलर ट्रेड है, ये क्रिप्टो ट्रेड है ही नहीं, राइट? जो फंडिंग ट्रेड है वो डॉलर ट्रेड है एक्चुअली.
Yes. So, matlab, this is the kind of trades you can put into a very low risk kind of trades, and these type of trades exist in the cryptocurrency market also. So people have a view that going into crypto, so crypto is very volatile, you can lose your money and so on. But these are the type of trades which have a very little to no risk almost in certain conditions. So these are the type of trades which you can take if you have a very low risk tolerance, but this is possible only in the volatility of the cryptocurrency markets that the funding rate is so high.
हाँ, क्योंकि मार्केट काफी बुलिश है तो फंडिंग हाई है, तो बेसिकली आप स्पॉट लॉन्ग हो जाएंगे और फ्यूचर शॉर्ट हो जाएंगे. तो जितना स्पॉट में आप फायदा होगा उतना फ्यूचर में नुकसान हो जाएगा, बट ठीक है, फायदा और नुकसान कैंसिल होकर जीरो आउट हो जाएगा. दैट इज व्हाई इट बिकम्स लो रिस्क, क्योंकि लॉन्ग शॉर्ट ट्रेड है, सेम ही एसेट पे लॉन्ग है, सेम ही एसेट पे शॉर्ट है। और फंडिंग जो आएगी आपको वो इंटरेस्ट रेट का टर्म जैसे बेसिस कैप्चर होता है कैश फ्यूचर आर्बिट्राज में, वैसे कैप्चर हो जाएगा फ्यूचर्स का बेसिस, तो इंटरेस्ट रेट टर्म कैप्चर होता है। और जो अभी रियलाइज हो रहा है 50% पर एनम पे, अगेन 50% पर एनम पूरा साल नहीं चलेगा, एवरी 8 आवर्स ये नंबर चेंज होता है। पर जैसे अभी आप देख सकते हैं कि ये 13 से तो काफी ज्यादा ही चल रहा है।
Yes, yes.
13th इज अबाउट 10 days बैक, तो 10 दिन तो मिल गए आपको, काफी एलिवेटेड रेट के। 10 दिन में अगर आप बेसिकली 3,
हाँ, तो
आपको
50%
3% वो तो मिल
annualized.
जाएगा।
हाँ, 50% annualized is roughly 4% a month. And month में 30 days होती हैं, तो अगर 10 days रह गया तो that will mean like 1/3 of 4%. So roughly 1.5% you have just made in these 10 days. So 10 days के अंदर
10
you've
days,
made 1.5% with very little to no price risk.
हाँ। और रिस्क फ्री ट्रेड्स या रिस्क लेस ट्रेड्स तो ऐसे ही होते हैं, मतलब इतना ही रिटर्न एक्सपेक्टेशन होगा, क्योंकि उसमें टाइम का एंगल बहुत होता है कि कितना आपका कैपिटल फ्री हो गया ना वापस।
Yes, and this is still better than the cash future arbitrage done in any other asset like gold or the stock market, just because the returns are high.
हाँ, क्रिप्टो में उनके रिटर्न्स हाई होते हैं बिकॉज ये नई एसेट क्लास है, तो यहाँ पे जो इंटरेस्ट रेट चलता है, द इकोसिस्टम राइट नाउ इज बेसिकली, आप स्ट्रक्चरली अगर सोचोगे इसके बारे में, तो इकोसिस्टम राइट नाउ, द क्रिप्टो इकोसिस्टम इज absorbing the dollar at a much higher interest rate than other asset classes, right? So crypto, if
Yes,
you see asset class equity, crypto, commodities, then crypto is saying that, look, for the money that is coming here, this asset class is returning a lot more interest rate. Just when you look at companies which are in high growth mode, their cost of capital is a lot higher because वो अपने में invest कर सकती हैं। और कंपनीज जिनकी जो एक स्टेबल हो जाती हैं, उनको इंटरेस्ट भी और उनकी कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल भी दोनों कम होते हैं। तो जनरली हाई ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटीज जो होती हैं, वहां पे कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल ज्यादा होता है, रिटर्न ऑन कैपिटल भी ज्यादा होता है, इसलिए तो दैट्स द स्ट्रक्चरल बेसिस ऑफ इट। पर हाँ, किसी ट्रेडर के लिए तो ये सब इतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, जो इम्पोर्टेंट है वही है कि यार ये रिटर्न है। और यहाँ पे जो रिस्क हैं वो दूसरी रिस्क होती हैं कि मतलब प्राइस रिस्क तो आपने प्रीटी मच निगेट कर दी, जो अदर रिस्क आपको मैनेज करनी होंगी कि फंडिंग पे नजर रखना, फंडिंग की वोलेटिलिटी, बीइंग एबल टू कट द ट्रेड इन टाइम, एंड ट्रेड मैनेजमेंट, एंड देयर आर bunch of other risks that open up with any trading, and those are the things which are more to be managed here. But
yes,
anyways, I
very well.
think we we've done 30 minutes, or it's pretty late as well, so markets look strong, move तो अभी भी चल ही रहा है। Let's look at 1 minute candle, ये तो काफी, let's look at 5 minutes candle. So we had these 30 minute, yeah, this is 30 minutes candle. We had a couple of half an hour sessions of very strong moves, and now it's sort of taken a break little bit. Let's see, यहाँ पे ये taper off हो जाता है because it is already sort of tried to attempt 55 once. So either it will taper off or probably continue. So it'll be interesting to watch क्या होता है यहाँ से।
Yes, so we'll be sleeping today and we'll not know what is going to happen tomorrow morning when we wake up. So it will be exciting.
So we'll be looking at it again and probably do another stream and discuss this कि क्या हुआ and how are the traders positioning themselves. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys, to anyone who's listening, and I think we should wrap up.
Sure, I think yes. So it is almost 3 a.m. in India. So I think yes, we should wrap it up.
ठीक है guys,
Chalo.
चलिए, good.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Thank you everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you everyone. Thank you guys. Bye.